Are you leading in HR right now, whether it's a department or a process or a team, even, but your title doesn't reflect it? So let me get this straight. So you're doing the work, people lean on you often, but when it comes time for decisions and recognition, you're not in those rooms. This is a frustration of many HR professionals who are doing the work right now and they're ready to lead, but they're not given the title to match. It's not that you're not capable, it's that you don't know yet what to do before you get that title. In this video, I'm sharing 10 ways you can start leading in HR right now. So even if you don't have that manager title, these are going to be the things that are going to build your reputation to get you noticed and start moving your career forward. If you're not new here, you know the drill. Go get your notebook, get something to write with, to take some notes on what we're going to talk about today. But if you are new here and you have not subscribed to the channel, just make sure that you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to be notified every time I drop a new video. I'm on a mission to help you to grow your HR career, get that very next level in the right ways with the right support. Answer this for me. Have you ever had people come to you for questions or for advice, and yet those same people get promoted while you stay stuck? Has that ever happened to you? Drop it down in the comments below. I think you're not alone. I'm Brittany Graddick. I've grown my own HR career from intern to Department of One to executive leadership in my day job, but also I'm an HR coach. And I work with HR professionals who are often working in spaces where they don't have the recognition that they want. They're doing work that they're not getting recognized for, and I help them to put the pieces together to grow on purpose. So, again, get your notebook ready to dive into what we're going to talk about today. Remember, leadership is not about titles. It's about how you think, how you show up, and how you influence others. But before you get to any of that, the first thing you need to do is lead yourself first. I don't know about you, but I grew up on the song Sweep Around Your Own Front Door Before You Try to Sweep Around Mine. And if you don't understand that song, the whole idea of it is you can't tell someone else what to do if what you're doing is not taken care of. So that's the idea behind this lead yourself first mentality. You've got to make sure you've got control of your own self, your own systems, your own processes before you can lead anything else. Think about it. Why would you have the license or the authority or the autonomy to be able to take care of anything else outside of your own department if your department is not run well first? So, leading yourself first includes your own self, your energy, your time, your emotions, how you're able to be well regulated, but also the way you're doing your work too. So, again, if there's no way for you to be asking for more if you're not taking care of what you have right now. You got to be a good steward of your current resources. If you can't manage your energy, your time, and your resources right now, it's going to be really difficult for you to lead anything or anyone else. How you show up consistently is what builds your credibility. Second thing you want to do, you want to take initiative and not just orders. The idea here is to not be an order taker. Anyone can just write things down and get things done, write things down and get things done. That's not being strategic. That's being an order taker. So you've got to get out of that mentality. Find ways to come up with your own ideas. The best leaders don't just react, they identify problems, they find solutions, and then they follow through. And interestingly, anyone can find a problem. Anyone on the street can talk about all the reasons why this thing is wrong, this team is wrong, this thing doesn't work. That's not the hard part. The difficult part is identifying solutions. So, how creative can you get? How resourceful can you get? How can you work within the bounds and the limits of your own capacity? But then also following through. We oftentimes, when we're growing up in the HR role, in any role, think about ways, well, fail to think about ways that you can follow through. So following through means making sure that not only does the thing get done, but how are you checking up on it? What are you doing to maintain it? So again, that's a very, you have to make sure you're closing the gap on it, closing the loop on it. Even small initiatives show ownership. Third thing you want to do is think like a business partner. Now, when I say business partner, I'm not talking about the title business partner, because I don't care if you've got 65 employees or 6,500 employees or 65,000 employees. Business partner is not only HR business partner in title. What I mean by that is thinking about how can you support the business? How can you be a part of the business? When faced with issues, stop asking, what's the policy on this? Instead, ask what's the business impact to this? Again, every policy is just something that's been written on paper. It's a rule that has been decided for X number of reasons. Policies can change, especially if the business impact or the reason why the policy might be deficient is strong enough. So again, don't be attached to the policies in a way that's going to make you rigid. Think about the business impact and also the people impact as well. This shift in language alone will shift how others see you, but also will shift how you start to see yourself and how you start to think about the way you're moving your own career. Fourth thing you want to do, ask strategic questions in meetings. This is something that I've learned along the way, and I've gained the skill, I've honed the skill of being a great question asker. One of my best compliments I can get is if I'm in a conversation with anyone and they're like, oh, that's a great question. I didn't think about that. because great leaders ask great questions. And I feel that it's really an underutilized skill that people don't often think about. When we think about being strategic, we think about having the best ideas and the best follow through and the best, the best creative approaches. But sometimes you've got to be the one to pause and think about, okay, well, again, what's that business impact? How is it going to impact this other thing? Ask the questions going to get people thinking about the full picture. To do this requires you to be really engaged in meetings to understand where the conversation is going, but be that person that gets people back to the why. Fifth thing you want to do right now: capitalize on small wins with big visibility. You don't need a new title to drive a project. Remember a few minutes ago, I talked about how anyone can talk about all the problems that exist? Pick one of those problems that exists for a big enough reason, solve it well within the constraints of your role, within the constraints of your capacity, and then report on it. Talk about it in your one on ones, talk about it with your team meetings, but find ways to have those quick wins to build your credibility in real time. If this is resonating with you, hit that like button and let me know. And also drop it down below. Which of these tips have you already been doing, but no one has noticed? Let's talk about ways we can make that more visible. Number 6, offer insight, not just support. This is another way to get out of that order taking mentality. Instead of saying, let me know how I can help, say, here's what I recommend based on what I'm seeing. Just this simple shift in your phrasing positions you differently. It becomes where you're not an order taker, you're not on the outskirts of the business, you're not just there to support them in one way or another, but you're there to offer them insight from a consultative standpoint. That difference is big. That difference is very significant. So you want to make sure that they understand, they know you're not there to support, you're not just there to help. You are there to give them insights. You're there to help share your experiences. Number 7, be a connector in your organization. I talk a lot about not working in isolation, and this is right alongside with that. Leaders create movement, so find ways to work collaboratively and cross collaboratively. Be a connector of people. So that means if you see something happening in one department that's going to impact another department, connect those business leaders. If you got a new person starting on a team, introduce them to someone who could really be influential for them. If you see, two teams that are working on the same project but in different veins, figure out a way to make them more collaborative. Introduce departments, suggest partnerships, and build bridges that no one else is thinking about. Number 8, this is a big one now: coach up and not just across. As you're finding ways to lead without a title, you're probably focusing on leading yourself and leading others around you, leading your department, leading your function, leading your processes. But you've also got to find ways to lead your leader. And what I mean by that is you've got to manage up. The goal here is to support their success without overstepping. You're not doing their job for them. You're giving them some reprieve to help them to be successful. If you help your leader be successful and you do it intentionally, not at their direction, but at your direction, it comes across differently. This shows that you're thinking like a leader. You want others around you to be successful, and that's what leaders do. Leaders create other leaders. Leaders help other people succeed. Learning to coach up is not about manipulation. It's about relationship building. You want your professional relationship to be strong so that that person can be an advocate for you, speaking up for you in rooms that you are not in, being one to look out for your professional development as well. Number 9, you want to communicate for clarity and not just compliance. What I mean by this is if you get a question that comes across your desk, don't just send back the policy. Explain the why in a way that relates to your audience. And hear my heart on this. I don't hate policies. Policies have a place. I have an appreciation for policies. But what I don't like is when HR professionals hide behind them and use them as a shield, and it stands in the way of you having those real relationships. The goal here is for you to be really, really engaged with the people that you're talking with and learning what's important to them, learning how to connect with them as well. As you move forward to communicate with clarity, remember this: leaders don't just transmit information, they translate with impact. The 10th thing that you need to do, and if you get nothing else on this list, you need to do this one: document your leadership impact. I say this all the time and I feel like I sound like a broken record, but I'm talking to myself 15 years ago. I wish I would have tracked more of my successes earlier because I wouldn't have had as much of a difficult time as I did trying to make the case for myself. I knew the work I was doing. I feel that people felt the work I was doing. But when it came time to ask for that promotion at the very next step, I really had to sit down and think hard about my impact. So for you, I want you to kind of skip that step. Document your wins, document your successes, document the problems that you solved, and do it intentionally. Put systems around it so that it's not something that you have to go back and think about, but it's a part of who you are and how you're driving your career. Leadership is not just a title, it's how people experience you, especially when people are not watching. If you're ready to stop waiting for permission and start leading with impact on purpose, then these 10 shifts will help you to set that foundation. And if this resonated with you, then you're closer than you think. If you want to dig deeper and talk with me one on one about your challenges, your goals, and talk about possibly working together, comment down below with the words HR career success, and I'll send you a link to book some time to talk with me one on one. We can talk about your goals, your career aspirations, where you want to go next, and we can talk about whether or not the program is right for you. Inside of my program, we go so much deeper, and we talk about not only how to lead yourself well, but how to get noticed and how to get promoted as well. Now that you're stepping into your power, you might be still asking, well, why am I still getting passed over? So watch this video next to learn why doing everything right in HR still might not be getting what you want. See you there. Bye.